Welcome, Cancer. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I am glad to be here. I love giving you guys your frequencies, your energies, and dipping into who you are. We're going to talk about Mercury. We're going to talk about the eclipses. We're going to touch in on the new moon energy, and then we're going to talk about the butt end of May. And we will then spend the rest of the video talking about June, eclipse season beginning. Let's start off mid-May. We have Mercury going out of bounds, all right? May 15th, Mercury went out of bounds. And this was in the sign of Gemini. So your Gemini energy in your chart typically, okay, is in your 12th house. Now, this is tricky because there's a mega stellium of planets in your 12th house right now. Your 12th house is when you go to sleep, you have dreams. This is Gemini energy there, right? Very busy getting information in your dreams. This is the 12th house realm. 12th house represents our subconscious. So when we go to sleep, right, there's a lot of people who have different schools of thought on this, but when you go to sleep, some people believe that the physical body, when it's resting, that the soul has the ability to rise up and literally leaves the body. You gotta spend a life of living and troubleshooting to come to your own belief, like what you think is real. But the idea behind it is that the soul leaves the body. But see, when our souls leave our body, they're always attached, right? There is this tether, there's like this silver cord, so to speak, where there's this connection of the soul and the spirit combined together inside this body, many layers. Now, I'm getting really deep into this because we're in the 12th house. And the 12th house is all about past, deep, unconscious stuff. So yes, past lives, which is soul energy, because the soul lives forever. The personality is very limited. The personality is only for this lifetime. Think of it as a role that you play, right? Think of it as a movie and you're a character. Well, this is the character you are for just this lifetime. You know, past lifetimes, you got to play a different role. You got to be a different person. You got to be a different character. So the soul is the one that keeps on living. After the physical body dwindles, fades, the soul passes on and goes into another body. And the idea is that that soul retains its experiences, that the soul retains the memory. All right. So this 12th house is that. So we have memory that's contained within our personality, right? Because we still have our mind intact, but our soul's now merged with it. And there's information there that we're not aware of. It's in our subconscious. So if you're dreaming, you may have moments where you have dreams, when you get glimpses, right? Where the veil thins and where you get to see history, where you get information from other lifetimes. And this could pertain with other people you knew in other lifetimes, other souls you had contact with. A lot of folks who have this placement, they would utilize, because Gemini represents information. So getting information in your dreams, right? Your 12th house, that makes sense, right? A lot of people use this in a really creative way. They see in images. They literally see words. A lot of other folks, they actually see images like a movie in their mind. And you can use this energy as a creative point of expression. When you have all these planets in that 12th house, it's going to activate the dream world. It's going to activate the subconscious realm. It's going to bring things forward that you weren't aware of before. Understanding and realizing that that's what's going on helps, right? Because it's like, okay, why am I going through this? What is happening? You know, you're not crazy. You're not, this is a part of life. This is a process. This is you. This is your chart. High sensitive individual, right? Because you're Cancer, ascendant Cancer rising, okay? There, you've got Venus there right now. These are all the transiting, meaning current planets up in the sky. You've got the sun and you've got the moon there. Mercury is out of bounds, okay? What out of bounds means is that it becomes extreme. Mercury represents how we think, okay? How we talk, how we communicate. Remember Gemini, Mercury energy is the writer, is the scribe, right? Is the one who keeps track of things, who writes down, is the storyteller, but in words, right? They're literally using text, it's information. But you can speak it too, because Gemini loves to talk. It's not just limited to writing or typing or whatever, however you can do things by voice. But you can also track and keep stories by creating movies, right? Little skits, right? Little segments, little clips. There's all this interesting ways that we can become the scribes of our times. And this is what this is. How do you implement Gemini energy to do that? Because Gemini energy is social media. It is the internet. So it's fascinating when I see Gemini energy in the 12th house. Do you have natal planets there? Right? Because the ones I'm talking about right now are current planets up in the sky. They're called transits. If you don't know, if you want to find something out like that, all you have to do is comment below. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free. It's just part of the All Astrology family. This is what we do. This is how we support each other. You comment, you like, you subscribe, tap that bell, you put in your birth digits, and I come back and give you information. It's the way we reciprocate community, how we support our family. First eclipse is, the 5th of June. This is at 15 degrees Sagittarius energy. When we talk about eclipses, when we talk about any energies, you always really do want to understand what's happening at the point of which I talked about, 15 degrees, and then what happens at the opposite end of it. You know, if you have your own chart, you would want to look that up. So 15 degrees Sagittarius, you're going to be looking also at 15 degrees Gemini. This eclipse is a south node lunar eclipse. Knowing where your Sagittarian energy is in your chart tells you what area of your life this energy occurs in. So 15 degrees, there's 30 degrees in a sign. So 15 degrees Sagittarius means it's halfway through the Sagittarian. Now, typically your Sagittarian energy typically is in your 6th house. So your 6th house, this is your health. This includes your hygiene. All right. Now health, typically in the 6th house health, it's a lot about digestive issues. Okay. So it's things that are not on the outside, things that are not on the surface. It's more interior stuff. Okay. Internal things. Because it's 6th house Virgo things, right? So digestion. But because you have Sagittarian energy there, Sagittarian is ruled by Jupiter. And so Jupiter is very, well, it's a gas giant. And so this may pertain. You may understand what I'm talking about here. But either way, an eclipse happening, 15 degrees Sagittarius. Also see what happens. Do you have anything at 15 degrees Gemini? Now your Gemini energy is going to be in your 12th house. See if you have a point or a planet or an aspect there. See if you have something at 15 degrees. We'll talk about the south node, right, and what it means, and then the lunar part, because it's a lunar eclipse. Lunar is my emotions. And because it's an eclipse, it literally shines the light on something. It's a full moon. That's what the eclipse is. It's this big full moon that we're looking at, okay? And so you've got the full moon in your 6th house in Sagittarius, and you've got the sun at the opposite place in Gemini, okay, in your 12th house. So what happens is something that you were not aware of comes to light. And it was something in your past, something in your subconscious, because that sun is in Gemini energy. Now this could have to do with something, the way you spoke, the way you thought, the way you were communicating, something about the way that you relate. There may have been some subconscious stuff, some past life stuff, or maybe it's just things that you pushed away, something that maybe have happened in early childhood and that you kind of just, couldn't handle it, didn't deal with it. And there's a part of our psyche that literally, it's like a protective survival mechanism. It pushes stuff away. Understanding that there is an emotional factor involved because it's the moon. And then because it's a south node eclipse and the moon shining the light on this thing, it comes to like a head, and it's like, okay, I'm done with that. I'm done. I'm ready to let that go. I'm ready to move on. So this is the south node factor. South node is a moving on, is a letting go. South node is a release. It's, I have to let this go. I can't carry this around anymore. A lot of people are saying that this has to do with things that we've carried. It's beliefs, because it's Sagittarian energy. It's beliefs about a truth, what I believe is true. Now being in your 6th house, so this is my body, this is my health, this is my hygiene. It's also the 6th house, which is our work, right? Our work projects. 6th house is our pets as well. 6th house is our thinking, okay? Sagittarian energy is very expansive. It sees the forest, where the 6th house sees the trees. The 6th house is about the details. So when we're thinking about work, right, there might have been ideas and beliefs around work that you may no longer need, that you realize they're outdated for you and you're going to let go. And I brought that work more specifically into it because there's 3 things altogether that this eclipse is going to trigger, okay? And the first thing is where the eclipse happens, right? Location of work, my 6th house and my health. The second thing it triggers is the opposite side that I already told you about, your Gemini energy, right, at 15 degrees. And that's your subconscious. It's your subconscious thoughts. Now, this is in the house of dreams, okay? So you might get information in dreams at the time. So there might be a revealing that way for you. But there can also just be a burst of energy of information that comes in, because Gemini is information. It's also the social media and the internet. So there might be some information you get through social media or on the internet, some social platform. You might get some sort of networking that comes through and might bring you a piece of information that helps you to understand something that was completely hidden from you before, because that 12th house is the hidden. It is that which we can't see. The 12th house is the non-tangible realm. It's not material at all. So, you know, like you can see this, right? And then I tell you, but I'm still holding a lighter. Can't you see it? Right? That's Piscean. That's 12th house. You can't see it. Now I'm saying, but it's there. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not real. That's 12th house stuff. So it's like you get some sort of behind the scenes information. Now, it doesn't have to be just to social media or internet, because Gemini energy is also our neighbors. It's also my siblings, right? It's also people that I network with, people that are in my immediate environment, people that are in my community. So there could be information that comes through that and that avenue. And these are, you know, you want to stand back, you want to detach, because it's emotional. You want to be aware of all the other things that are going on at this time. And this is going to be triggered by Mars. Mars is a big part of what we're going to be going through at eclipse time. It's squaring two other spaces in your chart, okay? The Mars energy is going to be in Pisces, all right? And Pisces energy, that's in your 9th house of beliefs. So there's a double emphasis on what I believe. This involves your spirituality as well. This involves traveling long distances and journeys. You know, when it comes to doing astrology and seeing someone's chart, it's a weaving, right? It's taking the meaning of all these things and, you know, each location and putting them together, and then saying these are the possibilities. So beliefs and beliefs. Mars is very much about let's be spiritually active. Let's do something, right? Let's take this to the next level. Let's show how we are all one. It's a great spiritual time of, you know, doing meditations, praying, getting involved with the internet. You know, there's these wonderful mass meditations going on now for the world, where people are realizing they can use the power, right? The power of their mind, the power of their intentions, and getting together. And Mars in Pisces is that. But it's creating tension and frustration, because Mars is very frustrated right now. Doesn't like being in the Piscean waters. It feels like it can't do what it wants to do. So it's a really good energy to take and create something with. Like, do something with that energy in a creative way. That could be music, because Pisces is all about music and film and theater. It's very artsy. Drawing, right? Painting, creating. This is Piscean energy, and Mars is there. So whether you're religious or spiritual and you're not into like kumbaya and lighting candles and burning sage and, you know, going to church or whatever that is, if you're not into all that, that's totally fine. All you're going to do then is take that energy and say, I can't say travel, because this is in your 9th house, but you can, actually, you know what this is really good for? This is astral travel. This is astral travel energy, because Jupiter is in this 9th house. That's the 9th house. And that is expansive and air, and I can go. Now, remember, water can fuel your intentions. So if you've never astral traveled, if you don't know what that is, you can do it. You can literally hunker down. So it's not like I'm trying to, you know, be Buddha, but you can literally use your mind, fueled by the water, the thoughts, the energy of the emotions, and let it take you to a place that you've never been. Because typically, the big close and the big shutdown, the big, okay, traveling long distances isn't going to be as prominent as it was. We're being asked to kind of stay home and stay local, enjoy our community, explore within where we live. This is where the North Node is. And so this is the next 18 months. And kind of being okay with that will help, will go a long way. Being okay with learning something new, while at the same time I might have to teach something new, right? Because again, 9th house is learning something. 9th house is I start a new spiritual practice, because it's Pisces. 9th house is I start going, you know, I take an online class, I do a webinar, I do something that helps me to feel like I'm doing something, because Mars wants to do something. So it's important to find outlets for that desire, for that the assertiveness of Mars. If not, Mars becomes frustrated, and the frustration, when Mars exerts its energy, it's sporadic. It's literally energetic bursts. Well, when you have anything that's just an energetic burst, right, it's unstable because it's a burst, right? There's like, okay, I don't know when that's going to just happen to pop off, right? Like the lid just popped right off the bottle. It just happens, and it's this big surprise. Now, at the eclipse time, it also squares, this thinking and communication, and it squares our values. And so we're looking and we're reestablishing what those new parameters are. We are letting go of old things that we don't value anymore, right? People are saying, hey, I used to use this, I don't, somebody else can, and they're letting it go, they're releasing it, and they're letting it pass on. Venus becomes part of this picture. Venus is like at 12 degrees, right? And the eclipse is at 15. It's my values, how you think about the things that you value. And this also would include relationships, okay? Important relationships. Siblings, of course, are highlighted, in neighbors because it's in the sign of Gemini. But there's also this, it's hard because for you, having Gemini in your 12th house, it's stuff you're not aware of. Values you have that you value, but you make choices based on some subconscious values. And so that's very tricky. It's difficult to figure out. To help you, all you have to do is find out where Mercury is in your birth chart. And then that will tell you more about how that Gemini energy operates up there in that house. It will give you more information, so it won't be such a mystery. Now, the next eclipse is also in June, and this eclipse is June 21st. Now, yes, this is the solstice, and this eclipse on June 21st, 0 degrees of Cancer. Being your sign, right, your Cancer ascendant, you want to really find out your rising sign number, right? You really want to know what degree is your rising sign at. Some people can have a degree that's like at 0 or 1 degree right on the ascendant sign. Or you could have some planets, right? You could have your sun, your moon. There could be anything close to that. We want to use a 2-degree orb to know if we're going to be affected, right? So if you've got a planet at either side of that 0 degrees, then that tells you this is going to affect you very strongly. And when I say affect you, it means there will be stress, tension, right? There will be friction. There will be, yes, there will be no's, right? There will be, okay, the door is closed all of a sudden. There was this opportunity. Now it's gone. There will be communication problems, talking, speaking, relating problems because Gemini is being squared. So understanding that when it comes to your ascendant sign, which is what it will be, this is a kicking off. Right? This is, when I say kicking off, this is a beginning point. Now, the Cancer energy is cardinal, okay? And cardinal represents the beginning. But because it's at 0 degrees, it is also the beginning. It's a strong location in that this is where I talk about this point where it's a reset switch, literally, for us globally. Because the Cancer energy on a large scale, other than my emotions and my feelings and my family, right, my personal family, right, even those who I've had past family ties with, like last life, we're also talking about, well, what's the bigger family, right? Your bigger family is humanity. And that's what this is about, because this is a global eclipse. This is not, this isn't just for Cancer ascendants because it's in your sign. This will affect everybody. I will do another video that goes into more depth about that, okay? I just wanted to give the degrees and the dates so you have a heads up and that you're going to be making sure you tap the bell so that you get the notification when that video is out. But the next eclipse is like 2 weeks later. It's July 4th, 11:44 p.m. Central Standard Time. Okay, so adjust for where you live. This eclipse is at 13 degrees. It's like 14 degrees of Capricorn energy, 1338, so we'll say 14 degrees Capricorn. Now, this will be the last eclipse for the Cancer Capricorn eclipses, and this is important because Cancer represented home, my inner home, my feelings and emotions, but also my physical home, and Capricorn represented my work, my ambitions, my goals, and my desires. But on the large scale, it represented big business, big government, okay? It represented long-standing 3D structures that were built over a long period of time. So having this eclipse at 13/14 degrees of Capricorn energy, it's really important, because when we look at where the nodes are, this is how we understand what kind of eclipse it's going to be. We have, even though it's far away, the nodes are going to be literally like at 29, 28 degrees of Sagittarius energy. But this is still, it's a let go eclipse. It's a, I'm releasing, this is done, this is outdated. And so this eclipse is that, a let go. It's one of those, you have to let something go in order to let something new come through. So Cancer, I hope put some light upon your path. If you have any questions, just comment below and I will let you know. Bye.